hesitant to push forward the Clint Eastwood that reads and intellectualizes and plays Bach?
I'm hesitant because it's not really acting, but acting is really not an intellectual art.
3 years ago, and every once in a while you sort of feel the presence, but I don't know whether that's just because you want to feel the presence.
Clint Eastwood, celebrated as one of the most celebrated actors and directors in Hollywood, rose from humble beginnings to become an iconic figure. However, behind his calm and self-assured presence on screen, his life was not without its share of challenges and hardships. From a childhood marked by frequent family relocations to numerous early career challenges, Clint Eastwood's path has been far from smooth. Despite the many struggles he has faced, Eastwood has not helped matters with his various controversies both on and off the set. Now, as the legendary star approaches his 94th birthday on May 31st, Clint Eastwood finally admits what we all suspected. Join us in this eye-opening journey as we reveal the exclusive revelation of Clint Eastwood. Watch till the end to discover the fascinating truth that was revealed recently.
I'm not just the actor in the film, I'm part of the production too, so I don't know. I've seen it done successfully before, and I don't have any feelings about it. I certainly don't have any. Now I get the big case and I'm picked to go down with it.
Then I'm going with you.
That's exactly what I want you to do.
Why?
We both know why Blakelock picked me for this job. I'm gonna prove he's wrong.
I know it must be tough having the man you love run off with another woman.
My life is not your concern. Don't tell me what to do.
Look, I am your boss, and don't you forget.
Beginning of a legend. The legendary actor we all know and love was born on May 31st, 1930, at St. Francis Memorial Hospital in San Francisco. His parents were Ruth and Clinton Eastwood Sr. during his rise to fame. His mother went by the surname of her second husband, John Belden Wood, whom she married after the passing of Clinton Sr. when the actor was born. The hospital nurses gave him the nickname Samson because he weighed a whopping 11 pounds and 6 ounces at birth. He grew up with a younger sister named Jean Bernhardt. His ancestral heritage includes English, Irish, Scottish, and Dutch roots, and he can trace his lineage back to Mayflower passenger William Bradford, making him the 12th generation born in North America. In his early years, the actor's family moved around quite a bit as his father changed jobs. However, contrary to what has been mentioned in media interviews, they did not relocate between 1940 and 1949. Eventually, they settled in Piedmont, California, residing in an affluent neighborhood with amenities like a swimming pool and membership in a country club. Both of his parents had their own cars. His father worked as a manufacturing executive at Georgia Pacific, while his mother took on a clerical job at IBM as Clint and Jean grew older. As for Clint's education, he attended Piedmont Middle School, where he faced academic difficulties and had to repeat a grade. Records indicate that he also had to attend summer school. He then moved on to Piedmont High School but was asked to leave due to various infractions, including writing an inappropriate suggestion on the athletic field scoreboard and burning an effigy in the school lawn. He transferred to Oakland Technical High School and was expected to graduate in January 1949. Although the details of his graduation are not publicly available due to legal confidentiality, Clint Eastwood's journey to stardom is a spectacular one, filled with ups and downs. Despite the challenges he faced, he continues to inspire many. But how did he become so famous? Well, before he graced the silver screen, he served in the military. In 1951, during the Korean War, Eastwood was drafted into the military. He worked as a swimming instructor at Fort Ord, California. During his time in the military, he experienced a harrowing incident when the Navy AD-1Q torpedo bomber he was on encountered engine problems and crashed near Point Reyes, not far from San Francisco. He and the pilot managed to swim to shore, a remarkable feat considering the frigid water. This real-life event foreshadowed his role as Frank Morris in the 1979 film Escape from Alcatraz, where he portrayed a prisoner escaping the infamous Alcatraz Island by swimming through the icy waters of San Francisco Bay. Eastwood was honorably discharged from the Army in 1953. The difficult road to stardom. Clint Eastwood's journey to stardom was anything but smooth. He faced several challenges as he pursued a career in the entertainment industry. When he first started out, he struggled to get roles and recognition. After leaving the Army, he worked as a lifeguard on the beach, but he had bigger ambitions. So he headed to the big city and enrolled in college in Los Angeles. To make ends meet, he took on part-time jobs. During the day, he managed a house in Beverly Hills where he rented a flat, and at night, he worked at a gas station. Clint's Army buddies encouraged him to try acting. They told him there were lots of beautiful girls in the industry. He listened to their advice and started going to auditions, participating in small theater performances, and even trying his hand at writing scripts. He also pestered film companies, hoping to land a contract. Eventually, he met Irving Glassberg, a cinematographer from Universal Studios who introduced him to director Arthur Lubin. Interestingly, this meeting took place at the gas station where Clint worked. Fortunately, Clint's good looks and tall stature worked in his favor. He passed the screen tests and signed a contract with the studio, despite having minimal acting experience. However, the director wasn't entirely impressed with him. According to the director, Clint seemed inexperienced and unsure of himself. He lacked direction and didn't quite know how to handle the acting craft. As a condition of the contract, Clint was required to take acting courses. He was also offered a modest payment of either $100 or $75 a week. Sources vary in the exact amount. It was enough for him to move to a new apartment closer to the studio. He ended up living with other aspiring actors, which gave him the opportunity to make new connections. Unfortunately, his first meeting with other studio staff didn't go well. He had to prove himself by reciting a monologue from the movie Petrified Forest, and even had to do a scene where he appeared naked in front of an audience. One studio worker described Clint as a typical country boy, thin with a noticeable Adam's apple and not very talkative. The problem was that his appearance didn't fit neatly into the character's roles or romantic leading roles. He was too good looking for character parts, but not quite handsome enough for the classic heartthrob roles. Usually, actors like Clint were used as fillers on the screen. When Clint watched his audition tape, he realized he didn't look very convincing in the roles he was given. His lack of experience and a less than ideal reputation in the studio affected his career. He ended up with minor roles in low-budget films that didn't pay well. Some of these films included Revenge of the Creature, Francis in the Navy, Tarantula, all in 1955, and Away All Boats in 1956. In these films, Clint had such small parts that he hardly had any lines. For example, in Revenge of the Creature, he played an unnamed lab assistant who stumbled upon a missing rat, and in Tarantula, he portrayed an Air Force pilot assigned to destroy a gigantic insect. In 1956, Clint Eastwood had a brief appearance in the drama Never Say Goodbye, with only half a minute of screen time. Despite facing some career setbacks, he managed to star in 8 projects within just 2 years. Even back then, his strengths as an actor began to emerge. A good sense of humor and a captivating influence on women, qualities that would later contribute to his success. However, at the time, Clint struggled to translate those qualities into his characters. He sought help from a speech defect specialist to correct a whistling whisper in his speech, but despite the efforts, the defect couldn't be completely resolved. Interestingly, this defect would later become a distinctive feature of his acting style. Clint also took acting lessons from Jack Coslin and Jess Kimmel, which eventually led to his first taste of success. He started gaining attention and receiving offers for leading roles in films, particularly westerns, where his attractive and impressive presence made him a sought-after positive hero. One of Clint's early western films was Ambush at Cimarron Pass in 1958, where he portrayed Keith Williams. Unfortunately, Clint was dissatisfied with the outcome of the film and considered it one of the worst westerns. He later worked on The First Traveling Saleslady, hoping for success, but it failed to perform well at the box office. In Lafayette Escadrille, released in 1958, Clint had only a minor role. During this time, he often found himself playing young lieutenants or laboratory assistants in the cheap B-movies that were being made. Lead role offers were scarce for Clint, and he began to lose hope for a brighter future. His relationship with the studio was also short-lived, as Universal terminated his contract after a year and a half, citing concerns about his appearance, particularly his teeth and Adam's apple. Clint was unprepared for this rejection, but he had no choice but to continue attending auditions, working out at the gym, and honing his acting skills. When he finally landed a leading role, it turned out to be in a low-quality Western film that was so bad he decided to quit. To make ends meet, Clint took on menial jobs such as digging pits for pools and working as a cleaner at a furniture factory. A fortunate encounter with one of the directors of the Rawhide series changed Clint's fortunes. While visiting a friend at the CBS television studio, he met the director, who was looking for a suitable young actor to play the supporting role of Cowboy Rowdy Yates. Rowdy defined Clint's roles for the next few years. Although the character didn't particularly interest him, Clint's portrayal brought a new cultural appeal to the show. With his strong, handsome appearance and skills in shooting and fighting, he quickly won over a young audience. Clint starred in the Rawhide series for 7 years, from its first episode to the last. By the end of the first season, his $600 salary had doubled, and by the end of the series, he was earning 6 figures. Although the series didn't achieve widespread popularity, it played a pivotal role in Clint's life. It was during this time that he first became interested in directing and began studying the film business from within. Initially, his contract with CBS prevented him from taking on other projects, but in 1953, as the series started to decline, the network allowed him some flexibility. The bosses decided to promote Clint by having him guest star in an episode of the popular sitcom Mr. Ed, where he played himself. Clint agreed on the condition that he wouldn't wear cowboy attire. However, the episode didn't provide the advertisement he had hoped for. Nevertheless, true success awaited Clint in the future, and once again, he would be associated with his appearance in cowboy films. The Italian director Sergio Leone noticed Clint's talent in Rawhide and invited him to star in his new project, A Fistful of Dollars. Inspired by Akira Kurosawa's Yojimbo, this film marked the beginning of the famous Dollar Trilogy. Leone saw in Clint the textured quality he sought for the lead role, and his co-stars were Ali Wallach and Lee Van Cleef. Clint Eastwood's journey as an actor took a significant turn when he became dissatisfied with his role as the good guy in the TV series Rawhide. This dissatisfaction led him to accept Sergio Leone's offer to star in his films, but with certain conditions. Clint agreed to shoot the movies in Italy and Spain and continue working on the series as well. Interestingly, Leone admitted that he chose Clint for the lead role in his films because the actor had two distinct facial expressions, one with a hat and one without. The director was also struck by Clint's deliberate and slow manner of movement. During the filming of the trilogy, Clint had a peculiar habit. He wore the same poncho throughout the entire production and forbade anyone from washing it. It became a sort of talisman for him. The first film in the trilogy, A Fistful of Dollars, was released in 1964. Although it faced accusations of plagiarism in some Asian countries, it achieved tremendous success in Europe and the USA. Made with a budget of $200,000, it earned a staggering $14 million and gave rise to the subgenre known as spaghetti western. It was during this period that Clint's fame skyrocketed. Consequently, two sequels were made a few years later, For a Few Dollars More in 1965, and The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly in 1966. All three films shared a common protagonist, a silent figure in a poncho, cowboy boots, and a cigarillo in his mouth, with an ambiguous moral compass. The iconic musical motif from these films remains one of the most recognizable in cinematic history. This experience played a significant role in Clint Eastwood's life. The films bore such resemblance to their source material that Leone faced a lawsuit as a result. The level of detail and the similarities in the lone warrior archetype, the montage rhythm, and the structure of action were striking. Kurosawa ultimately won the case, receiving $100,000 and 15% of the box office earnings. Nonetheless, the impact of the collaboration between Sergio Leone and Clint Eastwood cannot be underestimated. They revitalized the Western genre, which had nearly faded away by the early 1960s. Together, they created a classic Puritan hero on horseback, wearing a hat, embodying a combination of unwavering positive qualities and well-established cliches. Throughout the trilogy, Clint's character is referred to by various names, earning the moniker "the man with no name" in the films. In 2008, Empire magazine recognized him as the 43rd greatest cinematic character of all time. Women and sexual affairs. While Clint Eastwood was making headlines for a successful career, his personal life was also quite eventful. With his tall and strong physique, Eastwood naturally caught the attention of many women, and he certainly took advantage of it. The media often referred to him as womanizer. Essentially, Eastwood developed a notorious reputation for engaging in multiple relationships throughout his life, which attracted a great deal of interest and scrutiny. From an early age, Eastwood had a fondness for romantic involvements. He got married for the first time when he was just 23 years old, tying the knot with Maggie Jones in 1953. However, as Eastwood's fame grew in Hollywood, he proved to be far from a faithful husband. In fact, he admitted to a biographer that he continued seeing other women even while he was dating Maggie. Prior to his marriage with Maggie, Eastwood was already involved with another woman. According to his biographer, Patrick McGilligan, Eastwood had a relationship with an unnamed young woman before leaving for Seattle. She became pregnant, but they decided to give their daughter up for adoption. It wasn't until 2018, during the premiere of Eastwood's film The Mule, that their daughter, Laurie Murray, was publicly identified. Laurie had been adopted by Clyde and Helen Warren of Seattle. Surprisingly, Eastwood's biological grandmother never informed him about the pregnancy and never had any contact with him after their affair. Laurie discovered Eastwood was her father when she began researching her biological parents. If you thought that the unnamed woman was Eastwood's only affair during the marriage to Maggie, you would be mistaken. In 1954, during the second season of Rawhide, Eastwood began a long-term affair with stuntwoman and actress Roxanne Tunis, who was separated from her husband at the time. They had a daughter named Kimber in 1964, but her existence remained undisclosed to both Eastwood and the public until 1989, when the National Enquirer revealed her identity. There were rumors circulating among Eastwood's colleagues about the affair, with actress Barbara Eden, who guest starred in Rawhide, even suggesting that Eastwood and Maggie had an open marriage. In a 1971 interview with reporter Tim Chadwick, Eastwood expressed his belief in independence rather than togetherness. When Eastwood's affair with Tunis eventually ended, and while he was still married to Maggie, he began living with actress Sandra Locke during the production of The Outlaw Josie Wales in Page, Arizona. At the time, both Eastwood and Locke were in marriages that lacked genuine connection. Eastwood claimed that nothing remained between him and Maggie, while Locke was in a marriage of convenience with her openly gay best friend, Gordon Anderson. Their lives intertwined in a peculiar way, and Eastwood confessed to Locke that he was surprised by his strong attachment to her despite his inability to remain faithful to one woman. He even wrote a song about it called She Made Me Monogamous, highlighting the uniqueness of their relationship compared to his previous affairs, including his reported 14-year-long relationship with Tunis. Although they didn't have any children together, they had 2 abortions, and Locke underwent tubal ligation in the late 1970s. Disturbingly, even while they were living together, Eastwood discreetly maintained several other relationships. Unsurprisingly, their relationship gradually deteriorated after Eastwood divorced Maggie, while Locke remained married to Anderson. According to Locke, she was willing to divorce Anderson if Eastwood agreed to attend couples therapy, but he refused. Their breakup in 1989 was quite contentious, with Locke suing Eastwood for palimony after he allegedly changed the locks of their home and removed all her belongings. They reached a settlement, but Locke wasn't satisfied as she filed a fraud lawsuit in 1995, which they settled out of court. That's not all. The legendary actor had a very private affair with Jocelyn Reeves, a flight attendant, while he was still living with Sandra Locke. He fathered 2 children with Reeves, a son named Scott in 1986, and a daughter named Catherine in 1988. Their affair only became public knowledge in 1990 when an article about it was published in the Star tabloid. Additionally, there was actress Frances Fisher, whom Eastwood first met in the set of Pink Cadillac in 1988. They had a non-exclusive intermittent affair for 2 years before going public. They share a daughter named Francesca, who was born in 1993. However, their relationship ended in 1995 due to issues on Eastwood's part. Investments outside entertainment. During his time in the U.S. Army at Fort Ord, Clint Eastwood developed an interest in real estate in the Carmel area. Using his earnings from his acting career, he purchased 5 parcels of land totaling 283 acres near Malpaso Creek in December 1967. Additionally, in May 1968, he and fellow actor James Garner bought 340 acres of wooded land in Carmel Valley for $640,000. This property was located near the Rancho Cañada Country Club. In November 1983, Eastwood and Garner donated the underdeveloped land to the Housing Authority of the Country of Monterey, specifying that it would be used for senior housing. Eastwood named his production company Malpaso Productions. Over time, Eastwood acquired more land, including additional parcels in the Carmel Highlands, bringing his total holdings to 650 acres. In 1995, he sold the Malpaso land to Monterey Country for $3.08 million, and the property was placed under a permanent conservation easement. That same year, Eastwood purchased the 134-acre Odeo Ranch at the mouth of the Carmel River. He took measures to protect his Mission Ranch resort and the neighboring Mission Fields residential neighborhood from flooding by lowering the levees along the river's southern side. In 1997, Eastwood and his former wife Maggie Johnson donated 49 acres of the Odeo Ranch to the Big Sur Land Trust, including the associated water rights. On June 28, 2016, Eastwood donated the remaining Odeo East land. He also acquired 550 acres known as the Canada Woods development adjacent to the Odeo Ranch. In 2010, at the age of 80, Eastwood spent around $20 million to build a large compound in Carmel by the Sea. His real estate portfolio in California includes properties such as a mansion in Bel Air, a ranch near Castle, an apartment in Burbank, and a home in La Quinta. He also owns properties in Sun Valley, Idaho, and Kihei, Hawaii. Throughout his career, Clint Eastwood has enjoyed success both as an actor and as an entrepreneur. He has lived in various locations, including Studio City, Sherman Oaks, Tiburon, and Pebble Beach. Despite facing challenges at the beginning of his journey, he found a way to live healthy and comfortably. Thanks for exploring with us on Spacewind. If you enjoyed these revelations, click now on the next video that pops up on your screen. It's unbelievable.